Group attempted to cut me out after I did about 60% of the work. They failed. This happened about 12 years ago while I was studying aeronautical engineering. Due to some money-grubbing legislation tactics, most who have gone to college know about the unnecessary courses that are tacked onto degrees in order to graduate. One of those courses for my degree was a business class. Seriously, you'd think these guys would understand that most engineers don't do the business side of things. Thankfully, we had a teacher who was understanding of the fact that many of us in the class were bored out of our minds. I'll admit to having always been a geek/nerd who loved making good grades. If I don't understand something, I run at it hard to try and change that. This class stumped me for quite some time, and then a nightmare of a project was announced, one worth 50% of our grades. The school was a small one, the class a little more than 30 people, and I was assigned to work with 3 people I knew from other classes. We had problems straight away. 2 of the other people remembered me from a calculus class that they barely passed as the person who sailed easily through and decided to dump their portion of the work on me straight away, knowing I wouldn't allow myself to fail. They were right. At first, my other group member tried to pick up the slack as well, pulling hard to do a difficult project in a subject we barely understood. I'll admit, she was a trooper. Unfortunately, she was also someone easily manipulated, and our 2 other slacking group members began applying pressure during the semester for her to take the work and allow them to present it. The day of the project finally comes, and I'm sick as a dog, pretty much quarantined in the clinic due to bronchitis. I managed to send a message to the teacher. The 2 slackers managed to wrangle the presentation from the girl who worked with me and presented it to the class, declaring that they had done all the work and I was skipping class because they had told me that they were going to tell the teacher what happened. My initial grade was an F. I was beyond angry until I realized something important. Part of the project involved a written report, of which I held the only copy since I was the one to type it up. Cue the revenge. Privately, I went to the teacher with my notes and the report in order to get the grade I earned and to get him on the plot. He agreed since it seemed fun and he planned to fail them anyway for academic dishonesty. Publicly, there was no report. The classmates that had attempted to take all the credit began to approach me, first demanding the report. Most of the time, my response was, "But I didn't do any work," in a sickly sweet voice. Next, they attempted to act all buddy-buddy, trying to convince me that it had all been a joke and promising that they'd tell the professor that I had done some work, giving me some credit so that I had the possibility to pass. This was met with stony silence on most occasions before I had told them I'd rather fail than let them pass. Things escalated after that, to include the door of my dorm room being rapped on at odd hours of the night, shoving, and them stealing my backpack and notebooks in order to find the report themselves. One of them even asked my roommate to let them search for a report I had written and forgotten for our group. Didn't have her as my roommate the following semester. Things finally came to a head on the last week of classes. I had held out on them for a month, not telling any of my group mates what I had done, and enough time had elapsed that even if they were to turn in the report now, it'd be so late that they'd still have failed. They hadn't even attempted to do the report themselves, and the girl who had worked with me was in hysterics over the very real possibility of failing the class. It was what the teacher and I had been waiting for, and he had finally decided to return the reports. The 2 slackers glared daggers at me as the teacher returned the report of every other group in the class before stopping in front of them. He was holding what looked to be one extra report, and they were immediately looking hopeful. He set a single sheet of paper on one of their desks before moving to the desk of the girl who had worked along with me and set the report on her desk. "I had to dock some points for dishonesty, but you and your partner did decently," he stated before moving on. My partner realized what I had done. We only got an 82 on our project, but it was far better than the 0 that our ex-group mates received. I had been carefully documenting the harassment that the 2 slackers had put me through and ensured several witnesses saw some of what they did. 2 days after being informed that they were failing, the pair had a new problem. I gave the evidence to the administration of our school and the teacher reported their academic dishonesty. The administration did a bit more digging and found that the pair had been making trouble for some time, and a number of students reported similar problems of having their work stolen. The slackers were expelled. If you're a part of a group project, you are assigned to put in effort. Everyone is. There's no slackers or anything. So if you don't do any effort, you can't expect to get a good grade. You should be expecting a 0. You've done nothing. Now this next story is about PETA, P-E-T-A, you know, the animal activist group. They're a bit weird, but yeah, we're reading a post about them, okay? PT means PETA vegan, and me equals me. So this happened while I was living in Sydney, Australia. For anyone living there, you know that PETA really likes to show those animal abuse videos from farms while wearing Guy Fawkes masks near Westfield in the city. Now I have nothing against vegans or animal lovers, as I try my best to limit my red meat intake and love animals. I just happen to eat meat. Backstory, I'm Chinese, this part is important later, and generally I tend to keep to myself as much as I can and don't really like to talk to strangers unless I'm feeling sociable. I happened to be around the city and saw these rather large doggos, I'm a sucker for doggos, and asked the owner if I could play with them and pet them. They obliged and let me. What I didn't realize was I was being watched by a PETA volunteer nearby. After I got up from petting the dogs, thanking their owner as they walked off, this happens. PV steps in front of me and starts talking. I didn't notice who he was with at first, as I had my eyes on the dogs walking away still. I answered without looking at him first. Please take in mind, I don't remember the conversation word for word, so I'm trying my best here. Those dogs are beautiful. Yeah, they were soft and fluffy too. They look happy. Yeah, they did. Do you love animals? I do. I have a dog back in my country. Oh, okay. Hey, do you eat meat? Yes, I do. I realized why he asked. But you said you love animals. Yes, I do, but I also eat meat. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Well, how can you let something you love suffer for you? Hey, now, I don't want the animal to suffer when it's slaughtered. I believe in slaughtering animals without causing excessive pain to them. I like my animals treated humanely. But you still want it to suffer to death? Well, we do take life in order to survive. I'm aware and respect that. I just don't agree with you on that. I think animals are intelligent and should be respected. I mean, you wouldn't eat your dog like you would eat a cow, would you? Here comes my mistake. Not that I would- You would eat a dog? Oh, if you would let me- You would eat a dog? Only if I direly needed to. I'm not about to go eat- So you eat dog then? Oh my god. If you would let me- You eat dog? 1. I hate being scoffed at by a better than thou attitude. 2. I don't like being cut off. 3. I went to the army. No one is gonna shove stuff in my face and expect me to just take it. I start raising my voice so the people around us can hear me. Why are you continuing to say I eat dog? Are you trying to be racist? Do you walk up to all Chinese people and try to make them admit to eating dog? He's not entirely realizing how his words could be taken since he didn't listen. No, that's not what I- Do you think all Chinese people eat dog? I'm not. I'm just trying to- Deep breathes and mumbles under his breath and walks away from me. As he walked away, I just made my way out of the vicinity and go about my errands. I happened to pass by a little later and saw him. I swear I saw him flinch. PETA's fantastic, aren't they? Just a great company. Car destroyed my old mailbox, so I got revenge. Here's some backstory. I live in a more rural area, so pretty quiet usually. I also live in a bigger house than other people. My house is sometimes the target of pranks. So this was about 1 year ago. So I was 17 at the time, and I'm in high school. So one night, me and my family were just hanging out, talking, watching TV, you know, the works. So while me and my family were sitting around, we hear someone at the door. I get up and answer the door, and my neighbor then tells me and my parents that he was hearing loud noises and a loud crash outside. He then tells us that he looked outside and saw that our mailbox was broken and on the ground. He then leads us outside and shows us the mailbox. It was more of a high-tech mailbox because we don't like people stealing our mail. It's happened before. We then thank our neighbor and then proceed with our night. The rest of the night was more on the down low, nothing really else happened. My family and I were just stunned about how it happened. The next day, we decided to go get a new mailbox, but this time put cement in it so if this happens again, it wouldn't be broken. The following day, we poured the cement and the mailbox was set. The cement cooled fast because it was winter. Also, again, the mailbox was more high-tech. So the next night, this was the 4th day after the incident, the same thing happened again, but this time the mailbox was fine. The teens that tried to run over the mailbox ended up crashing their car and never ran over my mailbox again. After this whole fiasco, I went to school and saw in the parking lot that a car had a giant dent on the backside of the car, the size of my mailbox, and I found out that the owner of the car tried to run over someone's mailbox, mine, and ended up crashing the car into it, and is one of the most popular kids in my school. This whole thing was never let down until he graduated. Some people can be real idiots sometimes, can't they? Well guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check down below the links in the description. I've got my Patreon. You can get rewards if you want to support me over there. I don't expect you to. I also got my merch links. Get some cool designs. I also got my social media like Instagram and Twitter. Chuck me a follow to see what I do other than YouTube. Be greatly appreciated if you go check those out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.